The voice echoes through the empty studio of Nightwave Radio, where Sarah adjusts the controls of the vintage panel. It's 3:17 a.m., and you're tuned into the frequency where past and present meet. The phone rings, breaking the silence. For the third consecutive night. "Play Mysteries of the Night," requests the masculine voice, low and enigmatic. Daniel, as he introduced himself on the first call. There's something hypnotic about that voice, something that makes her disobey the protocol of not taking anonymous requests after midnight. "What does this song mean to you?" she asks, as the first chords fill the studio. "It's not what it means to me. It's what it should mean to you." "Sarah." She freezes. She had never mentioned her name during the broadcasts. "How do you know who I am?" "I know much more than you imagine. About you, about this station, about what happened here in 1978. The lights flicker. A storm approaches. When the lights go out completely, I'll need to meet you in person," he says. "There are secrets that can only be revealed face to face." The transmission fails. The lights go out, and in the complete darkness of the studio, footsteps approach. The silence is broken only by the sound of rain against the old station windows. Sarah frantically searches for a flashlight in the operations desk drawer. Her fingers touch the cold metal when the studio door creaks. "Don't turn on any lights." Daniel's voice resonates in the dark, closer than it had ever been. Some truths can only be revealed in the shadows. Lightning momentarily illuminates the studio, revealing the silhouette of a tall man standing in the entrance. Sarah feels her heart race, half fear, half an inexplicable attraction. "How did you get in here?" she asks, backing up until she feels the cold wall against her back. Daniel advances slowly. "The doors of this station have always been open. To me. I used to work here, before the incident." "What incident?" Sarah's curiosity overcomes her fear. He approaches, and she can feel the warmth emanating from him. "The fire of '78, a broadcaster lost in his own nightly transmissions, in love with a voice he heard every night on the phone but never met in person." His fingers touch hers in the darkness. A gentle, almost ethereal touch. "You look so much like her," Daniel whispers. Same voice, same passion for forgotten music. The emergency generator finally kicks in, bathing the studio in a dim red light. Sarah sees Daniel clearly for the first time. Deep, expressive eyes, a face marked by time, but of classic and intense beauty. "Impossible," she murmurs. The photos in the station archives. The young broadcaster who had died in the fire, more than 40 years ago. "Time is relative at the right frequencies," he responds, as if reading her thoughts. Their hands meet over the old controls. The turntable needle lands gently on a vinyl, releasing the first notes of Nocturnal Encounters. "Some connections transcend time," Daniel explains, his lips dangerously close to her ear. "Radio waves never die completely. They just travel through infinite space, just like certain feelings." Sarah should be terrified, but something in her soul recognizes a greater truth. Her fingers intertwine with his over the controls. The studio seems to spin around them, the music enveloping them in its hypnotic melody. "Did you come to find me?" she asks, feeling divided between two worlds. "I came to complete a transmission interrupted decades ago." Their lips finally meet. "I'm real desperate." Daniel's hands slide along Sarah's waist, lifting her against the control panel. Buttons are pressed, volumes increase. The music pulses stronger as their bodies approach with growing urgency. "Are we broadcasting?" she asks between intense kisses, while the open microphone captures their breathless breathing. To the past and future simultaneously, he responds, slowly unbuttoning her shirt. The storm intensifies outside, but inside the red studio, a more powerful connection is established. Frequencies align. Time bends upon itself. In the darkness of the transmission booth, isolated from the outside world, they rewrite a story interrupted decades before. Each caress is a note, each sigh a frequency of its own. The mixing board registers sounds that never went on air, while bodies dance to the rhythm of a music only they can hear completely. And for the first time in 4 decades, the Nightwave radio transmission simultaneously reaches listeners from past and present, connecting lovers separated by time but united by the same emotional frequency. When dawn begins to seep through the cracks of the old blinds, Sarah awakens in Daniel's arms on the worn sofa in the break room. The station is quiet, the automatic program playing smooth jazz on the air. "You stayed with me all night," she whispers, tracing the lines of his face with her fingertips. "I thought maybe you'd disappear with the end of the storm." Daniel smiles enigmatically. Storms never really end. They just calm down before the next cycle. He gets up, dressing partially as he walks to the window. His body is marked by peculiar scars that seem to form patterns of old electrical circuits. "What are we exactly, Daniel?" Sarah asks, wrapping herself in his coat, impregnated with a scent of burnt wood and old vinyl. "We are frequencies that found resonance," he responds, adjusting the dial of a portable radio forgotten on the shelf. Static, then clearly a transmission, her own voice from the night before. Sarah's eyes widen. "That's impossible. We didn't record anything." "The ether records everything," Daniel explains, approaching again. "The station is an amplifier. Our emotions, the transmitters." He touches her face with reverence. "Helena was broadcasting that night in 1978 when I received her call. I was just a listener in love with her voice. The fire started when I tried to reach her personally." "Helena?" Sarah feels a chill run down her spine. Her grandmother's name, whom she never knew. "Your grandmother," Daniel confirms. "I realized who you were the first night I heard your voice on the air. Same cadence, same passion for obscure music." Sarah backs away, confused. "You are the man from the fire? The obsessive listener?" Daniel smiles sadly. "I am what remains of him, neither fully alive nor completely dead, trapped between frequencies." He approaches the main equipment, turning on specific switches in a sequence that seems like a ritual. "For 47 years I've been trying to complete our connection. With Helena it was interrupted by fire. With you..." The entire studio begins to vibrate subtly. The signal meter needles float between impossible extremes. "What's happening?" Sarah asks, feeling the air thicken around them. "We're about to transmit on a frequency that few can access," Daniel explains, extending his hand to her. "Where past and present exist simultaneously." Sarah hesitates. "You want me to go with you?" "I want us to complete what was started." His eyes shine with supernatural intensity. "At the right frequency, we can exist forever, Sarah. Our story transmitted eternally through the ether." He pulls her into another deep kiss, more needy than the previous ones. The turntable turns on by itself, playing a song Sarah recognizes from the station's oldest archives. "This music was playing when Helena died," Daniel whispers against her lips. "When I died. When the fire consumed everything except our connection." His hands slide again over Sarah's body, awakening sensations even more intense than the night before. Each touch seems to connect her more deeply, not just to him but to something greater, as if she were tuning her own being to a different frequency. We need to finish what we started, he murmurs, lifting her against the glass wall that separates the studio from the transmission room. Through the glass for a moment, Sarah sees, or imagines she sees, two other figures. A woman at the microphone, frighteningly similar to herself, and a man watching her with adoration through the glass, while flames begin to consume the walls around them. "Daniel," she whispers, between increasingly desperate kisses. "This is madness. This is destiny," he corrects, as their bodies unite again, more urgent than before. Some stories need to be concluded for souls to find peace. As they lose themselves in each other, the station equipment comes to life. Meters pulsing, lights flashing, static growing. The old music cradles their movements while the world around them seems to bend upon itself. And as they reach together, the apex of their connection, reality around them seems to waver. For a moment, Sarah no longer knows which decade they're in, nor who she is exactly, whether herself or Helena, whether the present is now or 1978, whether the studio is on fire or bathed in the rising sun. When they finally separate, breathless, something has changed. The air seems lighter, as if a tension of decades had been released. The portable radio now emits only static. "What happened?" Sarah asks, her legs still trembling as she moves away from the glass wall. The morning sun now completely floods the studio, illuminating dust particles dancing in the air like small stars. Daniel is different. Something in his presence seems more solid, more anchored in reality, while simultaneously his eyes reveal a new depth, as if they could see beyond the veil of the everyday. "We completed the cycle," he responds, adjusting the buttons of the main panel, normalizing the transmission levels that had gone mad moments before. The fire of 78 created a fracture in time. Now it's been sealed. Sarah walks to the archive shelf and pulls out a yellowed folder marked Incident 1978. The old photos show the destroyed studio, and among the debris, two bodies were found. Helena Martinez, the night broadcaster, and an unidentified man. "You came to finish what started that night?" she asks, trying to organize the thoughts in her stunned mind. "I came to complete an interrupted transmission," Daniel corrects, approaching again. "Helena and I never had our chance. The fire consumed everything before we could really meet. I was just a voice on the phone to her, just as she was to me." He touches Sarah's face with infinite tenderness. "For decades, I remained trapped between frequencies, unable to move forward, unable to go back. Then you arrived, with her blood, with the same passion for forgotten music occupying the same physical space. And now," Sarah asks, feeling a strange melancholy settle in, "now I'm free, and so are you." The station phone rings, startling them. On the caller ID, only static. Sarah answers hesitantly. "Nightwave radio station," she says. A familiar voice responds from the other side, her own voice, but with a slightly different cadence. "The signal is clear now. Thank you." The line goes dead. Daniel smiles. Helena moves on. Finally. Sarah feels a tear run down her face without fully understanding why. "And us? What are we now?" "We are possibility," Daniel responds, pulling her close again. "Neither past nor future, just the present." He turns on the main microphone and adjusts the transmission dial to a specific frequency. "Make your final announcement," he suggests. Sarah hesitates only a moment before leaning over the microphone. "Dawn listeners, this is Sarah Martinez. This was the last transmission of our special program, Lost Frequencies. Starting today, we'll be on the air with a new format, Nocturnal Encounters. Feel invited to share your stories with us. She turns off the microphone and turns to Daniel. Will you stay? He smiles, enigmatic as always. It depends on you. I'm no longer trapped here, but I can choose to remain. Sarah pulls him by his half-open shirt. Then choose. The kiss they share now is different. No longer charged with supernatural desperation or cosmic urgency. It's a kiss of possibilities, of choices, of an undetermined future. In the following weeks, Nightwave radio station undergoes a transformation. The Nocturnal Encounters program quickly gains popularity, with Sarah and Daniel, now officially presented as Daniel Santos, music specialist, sharing the booth. Stories from listeners about unlikely connections, inexplicable coincidences, and encounters that defy time become the core of the programming. On special nights when an electrical storm hovers over the city, the equipment sometimes presents inexplicable behaviors. The station signal reaches impossible distances, reaching listeners who would technically be outside the range of the waves. And occasionally between calls, one appears with a blank identifier. No voice, just old music playing in the background. During these peculiar transmissions, Sarah and Daniel exchange knowing glances, knowing that some frequencies are never completely lost in the ether, that some stories continue to reverberate long after their original protagonists have moved on, and in the deepest dawns when they are alone in the studio bathed in dim red light, their bodies meet again over the control desk. Each accidentally pressed button, each sigh captured by the sensitive microphone, each promise whispered between kisses, everything transforms into invisible waves that travel through infinite space. Not to complete an interrupted story, but to begin an entirely new one. A story that, perhaps in some other time, at some other frequency, will also find its listeners.